Like I would say, I appreciate the way that you hide that within your lesson. You don't. You know what you're trying to get across,
Yes.
but you understand that I have to work through it. I have to take the time to actually think about this and process the information. So instead of giving it to me, you have me play with some drill, a different variation of something we've done before, and you allow me to kind of fumble through it until I illuminate the point that you're trying to make.
Good. And I've always felt that if I can get you to tell me what I'm showing you, and I showed it the best way possible.
Because I got you.
Yes. It came through your eyes and said, oh, this is what you're talking about, or this is what you mean. Oh, look, now I can do it. And then you prove it by doing it. Right.
Right. And the same token, you can direct which way you want to go to next
Right.
with that person's growth. Okay, they said this thing that was right, but they're still kind of missing the mark, or they went completely off topic, and you know how to direct it better for that individual.
And I think as an instructor, we really have to nurture that idea that I want you to learn this,
Right.
not I want to give you this stuff. You know, there's a big difference. I mean, it sounds like the same thing, but it's like, no,
Yeah.
I want it to come from you. I want you to learn what I'm trying to show you, and not me spoon feed you and tell you exactly what it is that I'm trying to teach you. Right? I mean, I'll show you the basic understanding of it, sure.
Right.
But beyond that, what else? What other meaning can you grab from whatever I've shown you? And how do you then take all the previous lessons and have that fit into that whole lesson and say, oh, okay, that's part of what you were saying for the last few weeks, but here's another idea of it, or here's the progression of that. Okay, now I get it. So every time I think of that, I should also tack onto this other stuff that I'm doing now.
Right.
So-
It should be continuous growth versus giving something new.
Right.
It's, oh, how does this fit into everything else we've been doing so far?
You remember back a while back, and this is funny because I used to tell you whenever we would play and we do something, you know, we're sparring a little bit,
Yeah.
but then you would have these little pauses, right? And you go, bang, and almost you look like, oh, what should I do next, or what should I hit with next, or you had that blank look like,
Yeah.
the old what's next, right? And I always equated that to the idea that you're going back to a filing cabinet, pulling out a card and saying, oh yeah, I should do this move next. So you're going, okay, here's what it is. And my thing was always that stop going to your filing cabinet,
Right.
get a USB drive and bring everything with you so that it just pops out all the time.
Yeah, have it there with you at the beginning, and then at first, and this is the progression of my understanding, and might be a little slower than some, but when you first said that I bring everything with me, I took it at physical value.
Right.
I bring my entire body forward, which is a good lesson. It's not that it's
That's
a bad
a totally
lesson.
different lesson.
Right, but there was a different lesson than what you
Right.
were actually saying, or even more so, it's a grander scale of what you're saying, because it's
Right.
not just the idea of, oh yeah, I bring my whole body forward. Okay, what if you can't stop that? Or what if, you know, all these other things that could happen if you just think of it physically.
Right.
But now
Again,
it's,
going back to don't look at it what it is, what does it become?
what does it become? And it becomes this idea that you bring everything, all your knowledge to this one focal point, which is essentially the fight or the progression of any particular lesson. You use all this information to understand this one piece, and then that piece becomes part of that grander information.
Correct.
And everything new that comes up afterwards, you use everything that you have, everything you've tacked on, and not just what you've been taught in your class, but life experiences, your environment, everything that you've learned up until this point is now being focused to understanding this one little Lego piece, so you can better use it down the line.
You see, you can be taught.
Eventually.
I like the notion that we are giving you so little but so much.
Right.
Right? I mean,
No,
I give you
true.
just enough to understand what's going on, and then it falls upon you to take that and start running with it and let it become this whole giant thing that you created with the idea of who you are.
And as an instructor, to push an individual student along to say, look, you are going to be you. I can only guide you in this direction. What comes of it, that's going to be you walking through the door.
Right.
You know, but to have that foresight to not say something when you're an instructor, to shut up and just let them fumble through it.
And that's the hardest part of being an instructor, right? And I've seen that with so many schools. They just don't know when this. Now you're just talking too much sometimes, right? And the idea is that you want the student to hear what you're saying, but if you say so much, then the brains almost turn off to the idea that, okay, he's just rambling now. And you hate the idea of that. And I think all instructors are guilty of that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I know I am. And I try to curve that by saying, okay, what do you think of what I just said? What are your thoughts on this? You tell me what I just said. Let me see and what you understand of what I said.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's
More
the most important part, right?
Yeah.
What did you understand about what I said? And then we go from there. We say, okay, that's good. Or you miss it totally.
Totally.
Right over your head.
All right. So let's do something different, which isn't even something different. Rather, just a different way of looking at the same concept.
Right. Exactly.
Because you look for that equilibrium of, okay, I am trying to get this across to the student. The student is not getting it the way I presented it. Well, I need to present it a different way.
Right.
So the student can see it for themselves.
And how many times have we done that 3 or 4 times before they say, oh, okay, I got that language. Right? It's like speaking 5 different languages and you have to work which one.
You have to figure out
which one they understand.
Right.
And, okay. Oh, we're going to use.
Oh, okay. We're going Farsi
this.
today. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll use Spanish tomorrow.
Exactly. I mean, and it's one of those things where for the instructor, it's a trial and error thing.
Oh, it definitely is.
Because again, we go back to each individual students and how they pick up what they learn, and as the individual, not as a group.
Right.
A lot of schools will always take it as a group, and I just it never dawns on them that, oh, how is this one particular understanding?
Falling short of that, and the way things are trained seems to be the way that we give out information to. Again, going back to the original point we were talking about in this conversation of you go home, you do the same movement over and over and over and over again without anything behind it. And you're just repeating everything. So to instructors, repeat the same thing over and over again, and those who get it, those who don't.
They end up leaving.
But they continue just doing it the same way. Is that mentality that gets harbored. And it goes to show that the way that you present something is the way that it's going to come across eventually. And not so much the information itself, but the process in which the information was given.
And let me throw a disclaimer on there too that, the people who work the idea of just practicing something over and over again, they do get good.
Yes.
Let's not mislead anybody.
No.
That is not a dumb way to learn.
No,
I mean,
they perfect that.
It's another way of learning. And that's what we're presenting. It's just another way to look at things and say, hey,
that's all it is.
We don't want to mislead anybody and say, oh, that way is silly or doesn't work or whatever. It does.
It does. We've seen
countless times of somebody who does the same over and over again, but they've gotten so good at it that it will work.
Yeah, I've fought against people like that who
Right.
are really good at what they do from practicing it this way. And there's scary, scary people out there with that degree of skill.
Right.
Now, how do you get anyone to reach that degree of skill?
Right.
What does it now take for you to transfer that? Sure, I can do it, but can I get you to do it?
Right. And I think that's where we have to look at, once again, the individual. Because some students are slower than others, some are faster than others, and that's why if you sit down and try to understand the student from the very beginning, then you kind of can gauge your lessons to that point rather than trying to cater the student to your lessons. It needs to be the other way around.
Yeah.
Your lessons are molded around the individual.
Yeah, because some people are just more athletically in tune. Some people are scholastically in tune. Some of us, neither of them. That's me. So I do appreciate that you and Danny have really taken the time to look at me, and then I think it's very difficult for a lot of people because eventually, if things progress as they should, in taking into consideration of an individual student, that student, in order to progress, has to view themselves the same way.
Yeah, I mean, you get students who only see one thing,
Right.
and that is, at the end of this, can I kick everybody's ass?
Yeah, right.
Right? I mean, this is the most ridiculous thing, but a lot of them are for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they do. But, you do the best you can with a student and say, okay, I want to try to change that mentality. I mean, most of our students, thankfully, were not ego or chip on the shoulder driven. They're more about, no, I just want to learn how to defend myself and my family
Be more confident.
and be more confident about what I do in my day-to-day life. And we love those guys because they don't have the hang-up of, oh, I have to be able to beat up this guy and that guy and whatever else. And we just think that that's a bad thing to have grow or nurture.
Huh, a thought just came by. Just when we were talking about that physically, you get people who have a certain body type, can better adapt to a certain art and can do the physical stuff repetitively and become incredibly good. Does that mean that we harbor this idea that only certain mindsets we train, despite the difference in physicality?
No, not at all. We're going to train anybody who wants to be there.
Right.
But we will take care of the people who are wanting to do this in a bad, malicious way.
No, yeah, okay.
I had one kid come over to me and ask me, and he wasn't a student yet, but he'd see us at the gym working out and training and whatever.
Really like what he saw.
Yeah, he loved what he saw, and he's kind of a big guy. And
Right.
he says, hey, can you teach me how to get out of the handcuffs while the police are putting it on me?
Oh, wow.
So right off the bat, I'm like,
Red
no.
flag.
Yeah, no. I mean, I already see where his
Where your
head was.
mindset is,
I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, no, you're not ever going to be one of my students. You're going to have to go somewhere else.
Right.
But he's like, oh, I'll pay you. I was like,
That's not the point.
no. If that's what you're using it for, yeah, no, I'm not going to train you.
It's horrible.
So you have to look at those things and really understand, do you want to train? And that's why Danny has always said, I'm going to talk to these people first.
Right.
He usually has like a 2-hour conversation before he'll say, okay, you can be one of my students. And rightfully so. He really wants to get a gauge of where this person's headed. Because, God forbid, you want to get a student who's going to go out and kill a bunch of people,
Oh, yeah.
with what you've taught them. So you have to weed those people out, and you do have to kind of look at, what am I getting as an instructor with this new student? Is it going to be worth the headaches or not?
No, it's definitely a give and take that has to be considered.
Right.
Not just for the sake, oh yeah, we'll take you in. Well, why would you? If it's just going to lead to problems down the line. But how mindful do you have to be as an instructor to really consider that?
Well, yeah, and for Danny and the Bladed Mind idea is that is one of the biggest things that we look at. We've had a couple people step in and say, oh yeah, I want to use it so I can beat up people. I'm like, no, thank you.
Sorry, we're full.
Yeah, we're full.
We're not taking any new students
Tell
right
you
now.
next summer when you grow up a little bit.
The character definitely has a big part of it. Again, going back to the idea that we harbor or we train individuals. Well, that person's personality is going to affect the way that they learn.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The way they process information becomes, their own, especially if that's what we're pushing you towards.
So I remember this one kid who came into my school, and kind of cocky, kind of thought he might know it all already, but was very interested in becoming a student. Here he is now, totally different. Nowhere near what he used to be.
For a second there, I had no idea who he was talking about.
And then you realize, oh wait, that is me.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I was like, wait, he won? It's me.
But if we can teach somebody to grow out of things like that, and we can guide them and have them become better people, then great. We'll try to do that.
That is,
But you do have some that come right in and just say, no, I want to be an asshole, and be like this and that. And like, oh no, you got to learn to weed people out.
Yeah.
And that was the answer to your question. How do you figure out who's who? Well, there you go. I mean, you were a cocky kid, but I knew you didn't have anything behind you, so you didn't have the preconceived notions.
Yes, true.
On how to do anything. So that was great. So moving on, what else you got for me today? I thought that was a really fun question that you decided to throw me, and I wanted to just really throwing some jabs.
Thank you. Twist the knife a little bit. No, thank you. I appreciate that. No, it's because it just goes back to the way that we're taught how to do things. Because again, it goes back to the how and less the what. And how you taught me was question. You are my teacher. You've been my teacher for 6 years, 6+ years. You know, I love you. I respect you. I see you as a friend. But I don't take your words at face value like, oh, he said it, so it must be absolutely without fault, grandmaster style. First, my personality wouldn't allow it, but second, the environment that you guys have created doesn't allow for that.
Yeah, we don't have you put us on a pedestal and say bow to me.
Because it takes away, and I think that's a big part of the aggression part that we were just describing of individual students. It's that ego, that pridefulness, that big chest to say, oh, I'm this degree, I'm this color belt, I am this masterful at something. Okay, to what end? To be boastful, to walk around with pride? Because I never thought myself to be a prideful person. But it turns out I really was. Like you said, I was an arrogant prick.
Yes.
And I see that clear now. I'm like, whoa, I wasn't very happy back then. I'm a lot happier now.
Really not. But, you know, and again, it goes back to trying to understand the individual that's in front of you. And try to get, you know, try to look beyond what you're seeing. Just like we always talk about, you know,
The potential.
look at what it is, look what it can become. Oh, look, now all of a sudden, you know, you're fairly respected now, and you know you're not as arrogant. You've calmed down a lot, and
a lot.
you know you're actually a really good instructor now. I mean, you know, I've gotten praises from other instructors about you. That yeah, so you know, if you want to take the time, or if you can take the time to nurture a new student and get them to be so much more than they are, then you've done your job as an instructor to say, okay, look what I created, and here it is now. You're your own person. You do what you do. You're teaching the way you want to teach, and there's never been a time when we say, no, that's wrong.
That's true.
You know, we just let you go because we understand where you come from. We taught you all the things that you do teach, and you're following our guideline of being very respectful about everything you do, and you don't impose anything that you've learned as rule, as law. You know, you say, okay, here's what we got, make something of it. Make yourself better than when you were last week.
Right. Well, if you consider everything, if we're talking about a fight, in its reality, it's chaotic. There's nothing set in stone. You know, you're either gonna win or you're gonna lose. That's pretty much the bottom line behind it. So if you take that into consideration in your teaching method, well then things have to change.
Yeah.
Things will change.
Definitely. And that's one of the coolest surprises that you get when you have that student and they change so much from what they were. You say, ha, look at that. That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
So let's move right along
Okay.
to another topic. I was talking to Danny, who, again, if you haven't noticed,